it's having this condition, and is the only way to work it is to not wallow too long in changes.
Yeah.
Because that gets me nowhere, and and I always lived. I always felt like someone told me when I was very little that dragonflies live like 24 hours.
Right.
This lady on the street told me one time that I met her on the street, and she told me, she's like, well, you know, 'cause I was really sad one day, and she saw that, and she was a little bit crazy, but she was kind of fun, and she told me that, you know, dragonflies live 24 hours, and she's like, think of how much they have to do in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, as a 9-year-old, I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought about that, you know. And she's like, maybe you're a dragonfly. And so from then on, I never even looked to see if dragonflies live that long.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided that that's how I would live my life and manifest my world that way. So when my body shifted, and if I felt sad, but I'd give myself like 24 hours to feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we move on.
Oh.
Yeah.
So have you heard of that book, Radical Acceptance?
No.
Yeah, it's I have it. I can't remember the author, but it's really sounds like that idea. Like you kind of have to accept the situation for what it is, and you can't dwell too long on. Although, I mean, I think a lot of people probably would, but you seem to have found a way to not dwell on it for that long and to kind of just move past whatever comes your way, right? And you just have to sort of accept it and figure out a way to live with it and to carry on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and as I've grown older too, it's like I've kind of really adopted the idea that like perspective can change in a blink of an eye. Yeah. Which it really can.
Do you think yours has changed a lot over time?
My perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, it has to. I think I've definitely softened my perspective over the years. It was a lot more. I was a lot more harder and more like, stubborn. I'm still stubborn, but like
you're definitely still stubborn.
Yeah, but before I was always thinking I was an enemy. You know, I had an enemy. Mm-hmm. But and I think that comes from. It comes from just my upbringing.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but
having to fight. Right?
Yeah, fight all the time for just the basic. My brother and I would walk to the food bank, and I'd have to walk back in my wheelchair with my walker because we had to put the bags on the wheelchair, right? So just fight for everything, and but yeah, as my life in the group home started to balance out, I started to feel more safe and more. And then when I moved out on my own, I had that security of the funding, and I felt safe there, and I was able to find staffing. And it was always a bit troubling when staffing, doesn't work sometimes. You get people that don't show up. Not everybody's perfect, but so there was always stuff that came up with that, but. Mm-hmm.
Did it feel strange to kind of move from this constant feeling of having to fight to being more comfortable and feeling safer? Because after living a certain way for so many years, to then kind of have a totally different situation, even though it was positive, was that really hard to get used to?
Mm-hmm. It was different to get used to. It was. I can't drink my tea.
Oh, yeah, sure, of course.
Can edit this out after.
Oh, yeah, whatever. People can listen to the tea.
Thank you.
How's that?
Good.
All good.
So sorry, what your question was?
If it was, going from that constant fighting mode to a more relaxed, lighter mode. I mean, I imagine it must have taken time to sort of get used to having something feeling like a regular life.
It did, because I was so used to my world before being where the rug would get pulled out from under me at any given point. Right? There was never any security in my childhood, and so rugs got pulled out an awful lot. So I was I was having to like readjust all the time, living with my family, you know, and so in some ways that was, like, as I said before, a blessing, I think, in disguise, because even though I did eventually fall into the being able to feel like I'm not just surviving, but I'm thriving mode. It took a while. Like, I went through a lot of counseling, and I you know, did a lot of crazy things. You know, but it's all part of like growing, and yeah. And I think my fight now, like when I think of fighting now, it's sort of like, it's not like how I like fought before. It's sort of just like, it's like I still fight to keep my body as strong as it can be.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that can take a bit extra like emotional and mental like fortitude.
For sure.
You know, to know that if something were, like, if something happens to me, like if my pain goes bad or something, that I know that I can make it through this.
Yeah.
I know that I can make it through. I know I will find my way out from it, and
Well, that's amazing.